going on, people? Welcome to DR Sports. Welcome to Game Day Preview, where myself and Abbi take you through the biggest and the best Premier League fixtures for the weekend and have a look at what's just gone on as well. We obviously talk about our teams, but more importantly, we talk about your teams. Very more importantly, because we're not talking about my team
No,
today,
we are talking about your team. We've got lots to talk about on the Manchester United front flex. We do.
You lot do. Yeah, that's fine. You lot talk away. I've done all my debrief. I've been doing it all week. So, you know what I mean?
You guys obviously make sure you put your comments in the comment section so we can see what you guys think. Let's have a quick look at the fixtures for this weekend. We are kicking off on match day 2, Saturday. Aston Villa taking on Everton. Villa obviously coming off that defeat at the weekend.
2-0 lost to Bournemouth.
Yeah, I saw an interesting stat. It was like Gerrard's got the same win ratio as Lampard, which people probably wouldn't think about.
Is it?
Yeah, so this could be like, you know, a pre-El Sakiko. Because
bit early, second game of the season. So, I mean, Tottenham fans, they get a good manager, they win the first game, and all of a sudden...
It's an interesting matchup. It's an interesting matchup. Aston Villa taking on Everton. Everton also coming off the back of that loss to Chelsea.
Yeah.
What did you make of them last week?
Aston Villa?
Yeah.
Poor. Really, really poor, underwhelming. Obviously, all of the fallout of that loss was around Tyrone Mings not starting. Obviously, he doesn't have the captaincy anymore. Steven Gerrard had some strong words to say as well in terms of when he can expect Mings to play, when he can look me in the eye and let me know he's ready to play. It's something quite cryptic.
It's a bit interesting, isn't it?
It is.
He was the captain. I know it's been stripped, but what has obviously happened there for such like an almighty fallout in that type of sense?
It's like, but for me, it's like, it's fine if you lose the captaincy, but it could all be forgotten about if you're still playing. And obviously he wasn't, and then they lost, and it becomes about that. But you can't hide the fact that I was speaking to a couple of Villa mates of mine, and they were just saying they were just really, really poor. They really was. And that's the thing that I think about Villa. Like, you never know what you're going to get. Like,
do you expect more from Villa?
100%. I look at the players that they've got. I look at players like, obviously, Coutinho and Leon Bailey, Watkins, Ings, Buendia, Jacob Ramsey. They've got quite a solid midfield. Douglas Luiz, John McGinn. Like, they've got players, you know. I think they signed the other midfielder as well. What's his name again? Man United was going to get him, not Sangaré. Someone put in the comments. But they got him on a free, and it was like, Man United, where are you? Do you know what I mean? Kamara, that was it, I think. But I'm just like, they need to show more under this manager. They need to get some consistency. And it's not the best start. Not the best start.
And what about Everton? What did you think about their performance against Chelsea?
Do you know what? I think they actually battled well. Chelsea were poor. Chelsea flattered to deceive, and we know the deficiencies that they've got, and we'll talk about them a little bit later because obviously you guys are playing them. But on the Everton front, I thought they competed really well. I was really impressed with Iwobi playing in midfield. He had an eye for a pass. His positional sense was good. His work rate is top. It's not his position, but he's kind of turned into that under Lampard in recent months. They've strengthened now.
I think Connor Cody's a great signing for them.
Connor Cody is something they definitely need. So if you look at him and who's it going to be?
Well, obviously
Tarkowski.
Godfrey
got injured, which is not good. But they needed to sort out that back four. And they're bringing in midfielders as well. But the thing that Everton lacked was just that striker. You had Anthony Gordon as a false nine. He was trying to run his arse off, but they couldn't threaten Chelsea enough. If they did have a forward, I think that game could have been different. So Everton actually did do all right, but that's at Goodison. I worry about them anytime they're not
away from home.
Goodison,
all right, prediction for this one?
Man, it's tough, isn't it? I think Villa at home after the back of a poor result against Bournemouth. I think they up the ante, first home game of the season at Villa Park, and I think they get a 2-1 win.
Okay, interesting. Let's see what you guys have said in the comments. Sending your predictions. A lot of you are already predicting the Chelsea-Spurs game. We will get to that, of course. Another game of the weekend, Southampton taking on Leeds. Really impressed with Leeds, the way they battled back last weekend. I think it's really important with Leeds to win their home games, isn't it?
They do. They need to win their home games. And Ellen Road is a hostile atmosphere, frantic pace. Fans are close to the pitch. It's a difficult place to go to, and it should have been last year, but it wasn't because they nearly got relegated. But they need that place to be a fortress, is what my point is. And I like what Jesse Marshall's doing with the signings, man. He's looking to kick them on.
Good, the people he's brought in, considering they've lost Calvin Phillips and Rafinha.
Exactly.
I mean, I know it's very early stages at the moment, but they do look like they've slotted in quite well.
And to come back from a goal down, is definitely a good mentality, good spirit. So they, like I said, if they want to avoid having to fight for their Premier League status again, like you said, Ellen Road's got to be a fortress.
Yep, I agree with you. Southampton taking that battering to Spurs on the opening day, 4-1. Did you see any positive signs for Southampton in that game?
Well, Prowse, at least they opened the scoring.
Yeah,
maybe.
that's true.
You know, maybe because not a lot of people saw that coming.
Yeah.
I think we might have predicted maybe 3-0 on that one or 4.
Something like
that. But yeah, no, I didn't. They just, under Hasenhüttl, I just feel like he's a manager who just...
I think he's a bit of a coaster.
Yeah, you can't really put... I do think he's a good coach. That's the thing. I actually do think he's a good manager. I don't know if it's just gone a little bit stale at Southampton.
Yeah.
They've always done quite well in selling players on and reinvigorating the team. I know they brought in Aribo as well. He looks good. But they've always been able to kind of rediscover their identity and keep going. I feel like they've lost that a little bit. I don't know what their identity is at the minute, and you don't know what you're going to get with them. And they've got a big season because Hasenhüttl needs to get some consistency out of them.
I agree with you. Okay, Lil Tim said 2-0 to Villa. Godfrey says 2-1 to Leeds. So far, make sure you send in your predictions, guys.
Is that Ellen Road, this game?
It is at Southampton.
Oh, it's at Southampton. But even that, it doesn't... Southampton, it's not a fortress, is it? It's not like...
It's not so much.
But equally, and would you be surprised if Southampton just turned it on that day and then they got a 2-0 win? Like, they can do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go draw on that.
Draw. I'm going to go with a Leeds, maybe like 1-0.
Okay.
Like a close game, maybe a late goal. Arsenal taking on Leicester. Leicester coming off the back of the 2-2 draw last weekend. Arsenal winning, of course. They opened the new Premier League season.
They played well for large parts. Yeah.
They looked really good, didn't they, Arsenal?
They did, especially first 20 minutes. Jesus was at it.
I thought their passing was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was like Barcelona-esque.
Yeah, they were really playing well. And you know what? Actually, in a different season, they probably do concede.
Do you think they look a bit more steely?
Yeah, they do. They've got a little bit more metal. They definitely got belief in what they're trying to do. And I just think that the Zinchenko. That's hard to say.
The Zinchenko.
That's quite hard to say.
Not really.
The Zinchenko. I can't say that.
The Zinchenko.
The Zinchenko
Effect.
There you go. It's just saying Zinchenko after that. I don't think that'll be that challenging, but it is. Zinchenko coming to the club for them.
There you go.
Is massive along with Jesus. I just think it just gave them that lift, and you can see already in their starting lineup what a difference it makes having them there. And in the second half, other than that Eze chance where he should score, that's the one.
My fantasy team was crying. He was in my fantasy.
Okay. Yeah, other than that chance, there wasn't really anything there. You know, a couple of little nervy moments, but nothing concrete. So I liked that Arsenal performance, kept a clean sheet, 2-0 win, a bit lucky with the second goal, but you make your own luck. And they are quite rightly confident going into this Leicester game.
And it's at home as well.
Yes.
Just looking at some of your predictions before we touch on Leicester. Damien 3-0, Sam Martin 2-0 Arsenal, Godfrey 3-0 Arsenal, Jesus hat-trick from Kenny. I like this one. Abina said Arsenal 1, Leicester 3. Let's hope so.
I can't see that happening.
Kumaran, Arsenal 3, Leicester 2. Some of you think it's going to be a closer game. Leicester last weekend, though. Do you think that it's gone a bit stale with Brendan Rodgers? I think we've been saying this kind of, since the middle of last season.
It has. I feel a bit sorry for him because he's in a position where he clearly can't bring in the players that he wants to bring in.
Yeah.
He's got question marks over his biggest players. Maddison's subject to 2 bids from Newcastle. Tillemans looks like he's just almost waiting for Arsenal to just put a bid in. Fofana's going to be subject to a 3rd bid from Chelsea. Kasper Schmeichel's already gone. They've lost Pereira at right back now.
They're in a bit of like a transitional
100%,
season,
but without being able to transition and actually bring quality players in. So Brendan Rodgers is right in his press conferences when he says players like Tillemans, players like Maddison, they're not for sale. Players like Fofana are not for sale.
Well, the thing is, they're putting such a hefty, wage on what they want these players to go for. Newcastle already bid twice to Maddison. 50 million not enough. You're looking probably at the 70, 80 million mark to
for Fofana.
For Fofana,
crazy, yeah.
Maddison. So in a way, is it good business from Leicester what they're doing? Outpricing.
Yeah, because they know. Yeah, that's just it. They've done it twice with Harry Maguire. If you want one of their best players at the time, they're just going to charge their premium because Leicester need the cash. And more importantly, they can't afford to let those guys go unless it's astronomical fees or those players become disgruntled and really put in transfer requests, which remains to be seen. But Leicester, on their performance against Brentford, though, they were actually really good in the first half. Considering they've got a bit of turmoil or a bit of uncertainty, they were really, really good.
Yeah.
Dewsbury Hall scored a fantastic goal as well. And in general, their play was good. I thought Tillemans had a great game. Tillemans was brilliant in that game. But second half, They look like they just got tired. I think he only made one sub as well. Brendan Rodgers took off Dewsbury Hall as well. So
squad depth, strength.
Yeah, and then Brentford made more changes, and then they grew as the half went on. So exactly that.
Okay, let's see what you guys are predicting. A lot of you still think it's an Arsenal win.
That easy, man.
There is someone here. We haven't spoken about Brentford and United yet, but I will just read it to Flex. Ice G said Brentford 9, United 2. We've got a super chat here from Mark who said, "I'm surprised Brendan Rodgers hasn't left the club. He's not getting the backing at the moment. If Leicester go into relegation, is it his fault?" Also 3-0 Arsenal.
Yeah. To answer the question, yeah, I don't think it would be his fault. I think they're a club who are usually well run, but I think the back end of the part, I was talking to somebody at Leicester, and they was explaining to me what because I was like, usually you lot are well run, you've got the new training ground.
And we've always spoken about
Do you know
how
what I mean?
well run they are. Yeah.
But they said that something to do with the Corona pandemic has kind of caught up with them about how their cash flow is and stuff. So yeah, but I think they have a really difficult trip to Arsenal. I think they lose convincingly. Of course, they've got players who can hurt you.
You don't think there's any chance that they get a result?
Not an upset. If Arsenal turn up, it's Arsenal's first home game of the season. If Arsenal turn up how they've been under Arteta in this pre-season and against Palace, can't see Leicester getting anything out of the game. Comfortable 3-1 at best.
Okay, I probably agree with you as well. Moving on to Brighton, taking on Newcastle. Brighton with that great win at Old Trafford. It was their first ever win at Old Trafford.
First ever, man. First ever. They was Oleing us, mate. Serious. No, I have to just keep the same energy. You can't just be biased.
No
They
biasness.
absolutely moved to us differently. We did not know what
Danny
to do.
Welbeck was causing an absolute nightmare for you.
Havoc. Rolling back the years.
Yeah,
he was. He was brilliant. Sully March was brilliant. Casado in the middle of the park was brilliant.
And also, you think they just lost Cucurella
and
as well, and Basuma. So
wouldn't even know. If anything, they were better.
Yeah,
they were better, which is testament to Graham Potter and how he sets his side up. It's testament to Brighton players, the information that they can take on. You had Webster coming in for Cucurella in that left wing, that left centre back, and it was fine. Yeah. Honestly, they was really dominant. I thought Man United, we started well in like the first 5-10 minutes, but as soon as we got a goal down, we just got shell shocked. But Brighton they just grew in confidence.
Just grew, and of course Pascal Gross as well, getting on the score sheet.
Absolutely.
Newcastle as well. They had a good opening day.
It's a tough game, this one.
It is a really
good team.
It's hard to split this one as to who we think it might go to, because Newcastle have looked really good. Eddie Howe signing that contract extension. Do you think that they've had kind of like a modest transfer window, Newcastle?
I like
but
it.
Actually, it's been quite smart.
I like it. I like their January window. I like this window so far, and they're pushing for someone like Maddison as well, which fits.
Yeah.
I like that it looks like Eddie Howe is in complete control of what's going on. When you from a footballing perspective and the players in his team, when you get owners that are that rich and are looking to splash the cash, and look, there's FFP rules, so Newcastle can't just go and spend $1 billion in a transfer window, even though they physically could do it.
Yeah.
They can't. But even the signings they are doing, they just look really smart, really sensible, measured approach, and it looks like they're not skipping the steps. You know what I mean? They're
building bit by bit.
Yeah, and I like it.
I think it's really good. And to be fair, lots of people
solid against Forest as well.
Yeah, and lots of people also thought that with Eddie Howe that maybe he would just be kind of like a nearly man in that job. He'd just be there for a little bit and then move on. I think a lot of people did.
I didn't even think he'd keep him up. Honestly, I really worried when he went there, but he's proved me wrong and a lot of other people who doubted him, definitely.
There was a lot of question marks. Godfrey says Brighton 2, Newcastle 2. Obina says Brighton 1, Newcastle 1. Slayer says 2-0 Newcastle. 2-1 Newcastle from Ryan. So a lot of you also think it is going to be a draw.
I think it'll be a draw.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think so. Are you going for like a score draw? What are you going for?
Yeah, score draw. I'm gonna go 2-2 in that one.
2-2?
Yeah. But either team is capable of winning that one quite easily.
Yep, I agree with you. Manchester City taking on Bournemouth. Erling Haaland, can we just have a moment for him?
Well, do you know what it is? I didn't even see it as anything. Like, when people were getting onto him in the Charity Shield from before, I'm just like, why are we doing this? Why? Like, and then they did it to Nunes, and then he come on against Fulham and done the business. Like, they're just two top strikers in two top teams, and they're going to get loads of goals.
Is this the type of game for Haaland where you're going to see him get a hat-trick?
Minimum brace.
You think?
Yeah, like he did against West Ham. I know one was a pen, but I just... Look, you don't want to do a discredit to Bournemouth because actually they were really good.
Yeah.
They were really good. First home game back in the league. They're really good against Villa. I was impressed with them. But as you know, going to Manchester City... is a whole different ball game. I think Bournemouth can make it difficult for them at times, because they're a bit of an unknown entity.
And stick everyone behind
the ball. But usually what happens in these types of games is City they either score early and the guard just drops, or a team can hang in there for 15, 20 minutes.
And then that's it.
And then the floodgates open either way.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a really comfortable win for City. But having said that, it's a free hit for Bournemouth.
Yep.
It's a free hit. They can get there. This is why they arrived back. Those players there want to test themselves against the best.
Yep. City could score 9.
They could. They could score 9.
That was an interesting comment. It was, it's one of those things. You could see it go either way, couldn't you?
100%.
What's your prediction on that one?
4-0.
4-0. Okay, same as the guys in the chat.
I think sometimes you have to give a bit of respect to the other. Like, do you know what I mean? Like when they used to play Burnley at the Etihad, it wasn't always like 6-0.
No,
it
was usually tight. It was actually usually
tight.
tight.
So I'm gonna,
all right, let's see what you guys say. Damien 5-0, Manchester City 4-0, Godfrey 5-0, Slayer 5-0. City 6, Bournemouth 0 from Denzel.
Any Bournemouth fans in the chat? Listen, give us a bit of hope.
I have got a 1-0 here. I've got K1 2K21. It said 1-0.
Might be a Man United fan.
It might be interesting that as well. Worth a little
bet. Imagine there was an upset.
I love it. Ryan says 4-0, 6-0. Okay, guys, this is just there's we get the gist. We think this is going to be a City win. Wolves taking on Fulham. Now, Wolves obviously lost that game, didn't they? Against Leeds.
In patches, though.
But Fulham looked good.
Fulham looked really good. What I loved about Fulham's performance is that it was fearless, and actually it's something that really annoys me about teams that play against Liverpool, my own team included, because we're shambles. Like, you can go for them.
Yeah.
Like, obviously you have to respect teams like City and Liverpool because they're good, but at the same time, it's 11 men against 11 men. Like, go for them.
Do you think
you have to show a little bit of impetus against them?
And you think that Fulham didn't give them?
They didn't give them an inch. They were in on the midfield. They were really, really good. The fullbacks were closing down. They were aggressive. Sometimes, a couple of silly tackles and some really late ones on like Diaz and that, kicking lumps out of them. But
that's kind of what you want.
You have to do it. You know what I mean? You've just come up, almost show them no respect until, cool, they score and you're like, fucking hell, let's don't show them any respect. And I wish more teams would do that against Liverpool and City. And I know, the easy thing could be, don't you think everyone's trying that? But they always win. I get that. But I just think in those moments, you could clearly see that they had a plan that they worked on under Marco Silva. They stuck to it. Even when they got pegged back, when they should have been winning by more, they still kept going, managed to get another chance to get the pen, which some people say was, some people wasn't. I think it was. I just think it shows that actually, if Fulham coming up from the Premier League, from the Championship, can give Liverpool that much of a game, why can't the established Premier League teams do it?
It's interesting.
Why?
Why not? Why can't they?
Yeah, it's because of tactics and mentality.
It's because people would rather just sit back and try and soak it up and take a draw.
Do you know what I mean?
Than go and get absolutely
just go
battered.
for it a bit.
But you never know what can happen. Let's see what you guys think in this game. What about Wolves?
Wolves, because they, to go into a lead that they did at Leeds, they were playing well. Prudence with the goal and Neto was at it. Obviously, that clip of him, that unbelievable bit of skill. But that's kind of the samey with Wolves, isn't it? They could be like that in 1 minute, and then you don't know what you're going to get. But again, first home game at Molineux, I think it'd be tough for Fulham. That was what I was going to say. The thing about Fulham is I don't know how much of that was Marco Silva wants them to play like that. That's their identity. Or if that was a one-off. Or it's Liverpool at home.
First game back,
absolutely go for it. Crowds up. It'll be interesting to see whether they play with that same intensity. I think Fulham should.
Yeah.
You can do that against Liverpool. You can do that against Wolves.
Because is it sustainable throughout the course of the season? Let's see what you guys say. Damien said 2-1 Wolves. Dennis said, I think this will be 2-2. I can see goals. ZNYG said Wolves in the mud. Pavel says 2-1 Fulham. Sam Martin 2-1 Fulham. Lionel Mitrovic. Lots of you guys going with it. He was really, really good.
How good was he?
Big, strong. I mean, look, we know what type of.
I'd have him instead of Arnautovic.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, you could do with him. But it gives you something different, doesn't it?
He was brilliant.
Mitrovic. So I think we see
a lot
that
of people saying Fulham, isn't it?
Yeah, lots of people saying that Fulham played at 100%. Liverpool only gave 25, and they only drew. 4-2 Fulham win from Ice G. 2-1 Wolves geeked back. 2-1 Fulham. Mitrovic brace. 2-1 Wolves win from BTV. So actually, it's kind of split between which way they think this is going.
I like that shout. Someone said there's going to be goals. I can see like a 2-2.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm going to go with draw.
Brentford taking on Manchester United, the one you'll want to talk about the most. Brentford, good, looking good. Came back in that game against Leicester, 2-2.
I just done some stuff with Brentford in the lead up for this game, which is coming out later on, and it was good to get an insight as to how they felt
And
after that Leicester game. They said they wasn't particularly good in the first half. They know that Leicester kind of blew them out. A couple of Brentford players they thought had a really good game in that first half, but not enough. But they just felt Leicester faded, and the fitness and how hard they've been working in pre-season, they were saying to me that it really came to the forefront. And Josh Da Silva coming off the bench to score that goal was unbelievable. And Ivan Toney was at it as well. Had a header that he missed. He probably should have scored that too. And the more the half went on, the more Brentford grew in confidence. And they leave that game almost feeling like not 2 points dropped, but they felt like
it was there for the taking.
Yeah, exactly. So Brent and again, listen, when we played Brentford last season at the Brentford Community Stadium, in the first half, we got absolutely battered. We should have been like 3-0 down. De Gea was making quite a few saves. And that's why Thomas Frank, after that game, because we won the game 3-1, he was really salty afterwards. He was like, they were lucky. We should have put them to bed, you know. And it's their first home game. You know, they've just got Damsgaard as well. Good replacement for Eriksson. So that place is going to be rocking. If I'm Ivan Toney, I'm looking at what Danny Welbeck just did.
Yep.
You know, you sit on... I shouldn't even be saying this, but this is just from to be neutral.
To be unbiased.
Just being unbiased. You know, if you're Ivan Toney, you're thinking I'm going to sit on Martinez, you know, bully him a little bit.
All 5'9",
questions about his height and is he ready for the league. There were good and bad bits of him against Brighton. Some bits I liked, some bits I was like, baptism of fire to the Prem.
Yeah.
So if I'm Ivan Toney, I'm thinking that, running in behind, and Bueno, you're thinking of what Welbeck did. So there's ways they can hurt Man United. And for us, of course we can beat Brentford, and they won't be as compact and have the same formation as Brighton, so there'll be more space on the pitch. Another week of training under Ten Hag to fine-tune how he wants us to play, but we're really fragile mentally.
More than a bit of fine-tuning.
More than a bit of fine-tuning.
More than that.
But we're just too fragile mentally. If Brentford score early, I just worry for us. We just crumble.
Did you see any positives out of your game for you guys?
Bar
the final whistle.
Yeah, exactly. Just to get out. That was cheeky, by the way. I hope you get smashed by Chelsea. But apart from the first 5-10 minutes, you can see what we're trying to do. So that was okay. Martinez did okay. When Eriksson actually went to his actual position in midfield in the second half, it was like, good. That's where he's actually meant to play.
Yes.
But other than that, no.
Okay, interesting.
So no is the short answer.
All right, let's see what you guys are saying for your predictions. There's a lot of you giving your predictions on this one. Ice G said 20-0 Brentford.
I said, what?
Elhang,
do you know what? I'm not saying anything because everyone was saying that, you know, I'll carry on.
Let the people speak, Flex. Let the people speak. Dennis 2-1 Brentford. Elhang 9-0 Brentford. All right, let's have some realistic ones now. Damien,
you lot are taking the mick.
Damien said 2-1 Brentford. Kenny said 3-1 Brentford. Anyone here for a United win?
No one thinks Man United
Oh my goodness. Brentford 5, United 0.
Easy 3-0 Brentford.
Easy 3-0 Brentford. Wow. Okay. A lot of you. Tony Brace.
They're loving it.
4-1 Manchester United win. There we go from Pavel. 1-0 from Iqbal. Man United win 4-0 from Pavel. Yeah, there's not many. 2-2. There's a 2-2 in there as well. 1-0 Brentford, 2-0 Brentford. But lots of people think it is going to be a Brentford win. What's your prediction, Flex?
I got a feeling it's going to be a draw.
I think it's
I don't fancy us to beat them at all.
I think it might be like... I think it's either going to be 1-1 or a late Brentford winner.
Yeah.
You love to see it. You love to see it, guys. Nottingham Forest taking on West Ham. West Ham, for me, looked a little bit lacklustre in that opening game at home. You just don't really expect to see that with West Ham. Like, again, like we kind of said, putting everyone behind the ball.
People were putting like a little bit of an upset on that game, thinking City usually starts slow. It's at London Stadium. West Ham
you expect more of West Ham.
Yeah.
I was a bit disappointed.
That's why I think this game they'll raise it. Forest didn't have a shot on target against Newcastle. Really difficult outing for them.
Welcome back to the Premier League.
Welcome back to the Premier League. However, though, in Forest's defence, City ground, back in the league.
Yeah.
It's going to be loud. That place is going to be rocking. And they are an unknown entity.
Yeah, we don't really know what...
We don't know what to expect from them. I know it's only one game, but that was away at Newcastle. Tough game. Maybe you could argue, did they even play their game? And after not having a shot on target, they won't be happy. So I wouldn't rule out Forest being at it and getting a result, actually. You know, I'm going to back them to win. I just feel that it's their first, that, you know, they haven't been in the league such a long time. Historic, prestigious club with a lot of history. And that ground is going to have to be a fortress for them as well. I just back them to have like a Fulham performance, like just really good, because it's their first home game.
So what's your score?
2-1 Forest.
2-1 Forest. Okay, you guys are saying, Damien said 3-1 West Ham. Time to wake up, West Ham 2-0 Forest. Slayer 2-0 West Ham. 1-0 from Godfrey, 2-1 West Ham. 1-0 Forest from Harry Doherty. Okay, so there's still more West Ham than there is Forest, but I do see your point. I think I'd also go with
Do you know what I mean?
I think I'd also go with that. A Forest upset. A 3-1, that's a nice one. 3-1 from Ice G. Forest, Lingard with 2 of the goals.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Lingard.
That'll be an interesting one.
Hardly saw him against Newcastle, didn't
He'll
he?
be bang up for that one. So, yeah, I think I'm going with that one too. Okay, let's head on to the last 2 games of the weekend. Chelsea taking on Tottenham at Stamford Bridge, Sunday at 4:30. This is one of the games of the weekend, right?
Yeah, it's the biggest game of the weekend, isn't it?
I mean, obviously, apart from Brentford United.
You're going to get smashed.
You don't even mean that.
I don't mean that. I actually think... I think Spurs can get something out of this. I mean, the record doesn't bode well.
But the record never looks good.
No, you very rarely win at the Bridge. Very, very rarely.
It's 1 in 37.
Actually, you very rarely just beat Chelsea, just in general.
Yeah, no, it's correct.
Isn't it? Home or away.
It's like one of those teams, like, it's like a bogey team. You know how like we're with City, you know, we have that thing over City.
Yeah, you just get them win sometimes.
Yeah, it's just some of those. Sometimes.
But obviously hugely impressive against Southampton, which we expected.
And there is people that say it's only Southampton. But you can only beat what's in front of you.
Yeah, and you went a goal down.
Yeah, went a goal down.
So, and then blew them out.
Yeah,
so.
and I didn't think Chelsea actually looked that great, I'll be honest.
Chelsea looks really, really poor. Let's just call a spade a spade. Chelsea they flattered to deceive. They looked void of ideas. They weren't potent up front. You know, there were times where they weren't on the same wavelength as Raheem Sterling. He was making sort of runs in behind, the ball wouldn't come. They would opt for the short pass instead.
Obviously, Timo Werner is also now left.
Timo Werner's now left. So they're trying to, whilst they're in this little transition of trying to get some more players in, I think they're still going to be that average Chelsea.
So it's quite a good time.
It's a good time to play them because they're trying to work things out and you look set. Do you know what I mean? So I think you go there and cause them a lot of problems. But it is still Chelsea and they are still at home and they have still got to play. Yeah, and it is still Spurs. So I'm going to go for a draw with this one. I don't think Spurs will lose though.
I agree. I totally agree. I don't think so either. We've got a super chat from Clara who said Spurs have won at the Bridge only once in 30 years. Spurs also lost 8-0 on aggregate against Chelsea in all comps last season. In these matches, form goes out the window. Old Spurs or new Spurs, bottlers. Will be bottlers.
Good
2-0
man.
Blues.
Sorry, is that Kira?
I think that's Clara.
Clara, well done, Clara.
Well done, Clara.
Well done, girl.
Well done, Clara.
You say it as it is.
No, to be honest with you, I agree. Look, Spurs have been very, very Spursy when it comes to Chelsea. I will be the first
even if
to
you've been
admit
in
that.
good form going into it.
It doesn't matter. Like we always say with derbies, form totally goes out the window. But I think that there is definitely an opportunity here with us playing Chelsea in the kind of transitional period they're in at the moment. If you're going to play them, I'm happy that we're playing them.
Good gauge for Antonio Conte as well.
Yeah,
To go. Was he there when you played them last year? Can't remember. Did he go back to the Bridge? I swear he went back to the Bridge. I can't remember.
But, I can't remember.
It's still good for him.
No, was it at home?
You can't remember
your
own games. Come on.
I think that was Nuno there when we played them at home, or I don't know. I had a stressful year. Okay.
Well, yeah.
I had a stressful year. I can't remember, but either way.
I just feel like it's a good gauge for him now at this stage, nice and early. You know, when the pressure's not. Obviously, there's always pressure, but it's not. You know, lose this, you're out of top 4 race.
Oh no, and it's early on. And to be honest with you, I'm happy to get this out of the way. So I think it definitely will be a draw. Let's see what you guys say. Harry said 2-1 to the Chelsea. Ice G said Spurs 2-0. Andrew says 1-1. Moyes said Chelsea win comfortably 3-0 as usual. Spurs 2-1 or 3-1. People who transferred Kane out on FPL will be going mad because he'll probably score 2. Kulusevski will get 30 goals plus an assist this year. Vanilla says 3-1 Spurs. Slayer says 5-0 Chelsea. Going for a 2-0 Chelsea, Chelsea 2, Tottenham 2. So, I don't know, it's kind of a little bit...
It's mixed.
Chris says 2-1 Spurs, Battle of the Bridge Part 2. Battle of the Bridge was iconic.
Would you still have Chelsea as favourites? So considering Chelsea are playing poorly and look not great, versus Tottenham are in the up, had a good thing.
I think it's just because they're at home, you'd always...
That's what I'm saying. Are Chelsea still the favourites for this, would you say?
Yeah,
or
I'd say
is
so.
it actually even game?
I don't know. I think like if you're looking at it from like a betting perspective, I think it would still be Chelsea because they're at home and because of the record, like you said. But if you want to take a punt and say that maybe Spurs aren't still the Spurs of old, look, I hope there's a win. Let's see what happens. Lots of you guys, 3-0 Chelsea, 2-2 draw, Spurs, light work. Okay. It's interesting, kind of split 50-50. And last game of the weekend on Monday night, Liverpool take on Crystal Palace. Palace, I didn't think looked particularly good in that opening game against Arsenal. They grew into it a little bit, but I still thought they were disappointing for me after how great they were last season.
Yes, I agree with that. I think Patrick Vieira, he's still saying they're a bit light. He said that before the Arsenal game. He wants a few more bodies in. And they just wasn't their aggressive self. They allowed Arsenal. Well, Arsenal were really good, to be fair to them, but they just couldn't get at Arsenal how they did in the 2 games they had against them last season. Both home and away, they were really good. So I think Palace will be better, but going away to Anfield Monday night under the lights, Liverpool are going to be fuming after that Fulham result, because although they still got the quality to get something out of the game, Klopp wouldn't have been happy with that performance.
No, I was going to say.
Shell-shocked.
And he did openly admit that he wasn't happy with it.
Yeah.
And he did, obviously not criticise his players, but he said they just weren't up to it.
They
he did also mention the grass, so I hope that the grass at Anfield is softer.
Maybe they'll water this one, yeah.
And wetter.
Which it will be. It'll be night time, it'll be cooler.
Yeah.
So they get the sprinklers on.
But Liverpool, so they disappointed you that opening game.
They did.
Did you see any signs of that in the Community Shield, that they might not be up to it?
No, that's what I mean. I think it was literally, that's what I mean. That game, I think we just have to go back to Fulham.
Yeah.
Just give Fulham their props. Not every day it's the big team that's like, oh, you just didn't do it.
Which is kind of what we want. We don't want to see the same things all the time.
100%. Fulham just put it on them on that day, and they didn't really. Well, they did have an answer in the end to kind of get a draw, but it stopped them being at their best. It's and even then they still made chances. I think Diaz hit the post, and a couple of other chances forced to save before Nunes even scored. He had a similar chance, and the keeper saved it. So they were still creating. It wasn't like, I've never seen a Liverpool team like that. They didn't even have a chance. It wasn't that, and then Salah still scores.
Yeah.
So there was it just, for Liverpool's level, which is super high, they just left a lot to be
But then
desired
again, you
for.
did beat them in pre-season, so maybe we should be worried about Liverpool.
Yeah, but then they beat Man City. Look, it's the first game of the season. I think they'll chalk that off and say, right, let's get back. If anything, it's a worry for Palace.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you know what I mean?
We could be looking at 2 defeats on the bounce in the first 2 games
I think
for
we
Crystal
are.
Palace. So let's see what they bring, but it's definitely going to be interesting.
3-1 for me.
So your game of the weekend is obviously the Chelsea Spurs game?
Oh, Chelsea Spurs, I'm going...
Don't be bitter, be better.
You've worked on that phrase, have you?
I have, yeah.
I'm not going to be good. I'm going to be great with my predictions. So I'm gonna predict a draw. I'm going to go with what I truly feel, not with what I want to happen.
What do you want?
Spurs have been a little bit too, everything's it's all fixed. We've got Conte. We're going to do this. We're cooking. We're doing all this. We had a great summer.
I'm sensing some
bitterness.
Bitterness.
I would love on a personal. I would love for an undercut Chelsea who don't look great to just go, remember, we're still Chelsea and you're still Spurs. I would love that.
Would you?
I would love that. But in my unbiased thing of how I think the game's actually going to go, because Spurs are in a good moment and are playing well, I think the game will be 1-1.
Okay, and your prediction for Liverpool Palace, please?
3-1 Liverpool.
3-1 Liverpool, okay. I agree with that, and I also think it's going to be a 5-0 Brentford win over United.
Wait, what do you think for the Spurs game?
2-2. 2-2 draw.
So you don't think you lose?
I just go with, the balanced view.
So you won't lose?
I don't feel that we'll lose, but I could be wrong. I hope I'm not wrong. But yeah, I feel that we have enough to get a draw, and I'll be happy with the draw.
Yeah. You don't believe, it's been so great, you don't think you can go and put a dent in Chelsea and go and win?
I like to talk after. I like to talk after the game.
It's the mentality of the club. Just lower it. Don't go there believing you can win then, basically.
It's not that I don't believe we can win. I do believe we could win.
So you're going to win?
I definitely don't think we'll lose.
Oh, you definitely don't think you'll lose?
I don't think we'll lose, no.
Okay. You heard that she said, I definitely don't think we'll lose.
This could come back to bite me very heavily on Monday's show. Anyway, that is everything for this week's Game Day preview. You guys, thank you so much for your comments. Let's just have a look and see what you guys are saying before we sign off. Denzel said Chelsea have to be better defensively than Tottenham. I doubt they'll score. Chelsea won't even make top 4. Spurs are in the title race. And Kenny has a question for you and I. Do you think Jesse Lingard will have a big impact at Forest like he did at West Ham?
I need to see the sample size of games first to see how they play, because I'm not sure that, like against Newcastle, I didn't even know Jesse Lingard was playing, and that's the problem when you have someone like him. Are Nottingham Forest good enough to say you could be our star man and the difference maker?
Well, I think that's what they've signed him for.
Yeah, exactly. They have, but that's what I question.
Is it more for Lingard to now step up and say, I am going to be that man?
Yeah, but they still have to play in a way. Lingard's not a person who can go and get the ball and make things happen. You have to bring him into play. You have to be playing in a way. Do you know what I mean? He's not a superstar like that. So I don't know. I worry. I don't think so.
All right.
But I hope I'm wrong because I like Jesse. I wanted to do well.
Okay, let's see what happens this weekend. We'll be back with you next week, of course, for another game day preview. Make sure you tune into all the watch-alongs this weekend, and I will see you on Monday for the weekend round table talk. Have a great weekend and enjoy all the games, guys.